All right, hello to you. I'm FOX26 meteorologist Remeisha Shade, tracking the tropics on this Halloween Thursday. Things have calmed down a little bit this week across the tropics, but they're kind of starting to flare up. We're now monitoring multiple systems or potential tropical systems that could give us a little trouble in the coming week or so. So I will let you know where we could have some problems, our chances for anything heading towards the Houston or Southeast Texas area. And of course, we'll talk about what we've been through so far this season. Let's start off by doing that. Of course, we have had several named storms so far this season. In fact, about 15 named storms. However, we've still got several more names on this list that we could potentially use. Now, we are very close to the final month of hurricane season. In fact, we have made it to the very last day of October. So once we go into tomorrow, that will be the beginning of the final month of hurricane season, which typically is when the activity starts to decline. However, we still have very warm water temperatures out there in the Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Mexico, and also the Atlantic Ocean. So we're thinking there could still be the chance for one or two of these systems to pop up, even though it is very late in the season. Of course, we started off with Alberto, which was a tropical storm early in the season. We were hit by Hurricane Beryl here in Houston back on July 8th. At that point, it was an 80-mile-per-hour Category 1 hurricane. Since then, we've had several hurricanes, 10 in fact. Of those 15 named storms became hurricanes, and out of those, 4 have become major hurricanes. Of course, those 4 major hurricanes were Beryl, Helene, Kirk, and Milton. The last few systems that we had, of course, were Nadine and Oscar. So now we're waiting to see if maybe we could have a Patty or a Raphael or a Sarah as a tropical storm or a hurricane in the coming days. The potential is there, so we will have to monitor things closely. As far as where we are right now, well, no named storms in the Atlantic Basin, which would include the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea, and Gulf of Mexico. However, we're about to go into November, and there's still the potential that we could have 1 or 2 tropical systems develop out there. Now, typically, like I said, in the final month of hurricane season, activity is usually starting to dwindle. It's starting to kind of wind down. However, we do still have unusually warm waters out there. Water temps are still above the norm for many parts of the Caribbean and even into the Gulf. So we still have the chance that we could have some action. These are the typical formation zones or hot spots. The chance to have maybe a tropical system developing during the month of November. So it would be just off of the mid-Atlantic and southeastern U.S. coast and the western Atlantic over into portions of the central Atlantic Ocean as well. There's at least a low shot for some tropical development. Chance for development continues to stick with us as well for parts of the western and west central Caribbean Sea for the month of November. Notice that yellow, not really in much of the Gulf. You can see a little portion of the southeastern Gulf included, but typically it's much harder for those systems to make it into the Gulf during the month of November, but it's not impossible. Now keep in mind for the Houston area, we've never had a tropical storm or hurricane hit us in November this late in the season, but we are still monitoring things. It would be history making if it happened, but it's not totally impossible. Just the chance is extremely low. As I expand the view and show you our tropical satellite, we are monitoring 2 areas of disturbed weather, some fairly disorganized showers and storms across parts of the northeastern Caribbean Sea near Puerto Rico and the Greater Antilles, and another area in the southwestern Caribbean. And that is where we have the chance for potentially 2 tropical systems. So it's not 1, but 2 areas being monitored in parts of the Caribbean. So let's start off with the area with the higher chance to turn into a tropical system, and this is the southwestern Caribbean. So here is where we have a medium 60% shot that we could have another tropical depression, tropical storm, or hurricane. As I mentioned earlier, the next name on that list would be Patty. So this could be tropical storm or hurricane Patty by early next week. Right now it is still fairly disorganized. It's still hugging that east coast of Central America. It's basically just a big cluster of disorganized showers and storms right now. However, models are indicating that things could get more organized over the coming days, and by the beginning to middle of next week, there's a now higher, medium 60% chance that we could have a tropical system bubbling up here. Also, we're monitoring another area now in the northeastern Caribbean. So this is the newest area that we're monitoring. But notice the chance for development here, pretty low. A 10% chance over the next 2 days and a 10% shot over the next 7 days for development. But you can see the general area here of disorganized showers and storms very close to Puerto Rico, parts of the Greater Antilles. So this is expected to kind of drift and track to the north and west. So this could clip parts of the southeastern Bahamas. It could also impact portions of Haiti, Dominican Republic, and maybe eventually Cuba. And if it hangs on, maybe even parts of South Florida. So we'll have to monitor this disturbance closely. But the good news with this one, that chance for additional development, very low, only a 10% chance. So we'll monitor it, but the chances that this will become our next tropical storm or hurricane, pretty low at this time. But like I said, we're still monitoring the secondary area in the southwestern Caribbean, and it does have a much higher shot for development as far as turning into our next tropical system. So the good news is that we're not expecting any of those systems to head towards the Houston area. Actually, across the state over recent months, drought conditions have been building. Of course, we were hit by Hurricane Beryl back on July 8th. That brought over a foot of rain for parts of Houston, but really since then, it's been pretty dry. In fact, we now have severe drought conditions that have creeped back into over 90% of Harris County. So we could use some rain. We're finally starting to get some of that rain, but I don't think it's going to come from the tropics. It's going to come from other disturbances moving through, but we will continue to monitor things. But it does look like we will have still the better shot for rain over the coming days for Houston, and that will help with some of these severe drought conditions. As you can see, last week 0% of Harris County in severe drought. This week 94% of Harris County in that severe drought. So the good news is that we're not expecting anything to come from the tropics, but this stalled out front will continue to keep the rounds of rain in the forecast and maybe some rumbles of thunder. So we're basically going to be monitoring those systems out there for the potential for development in the Caribbean. But for now, I don't think we're really going to get a ton of moisture from those, but this front hanging around will continue to give us that chance for a few showers and storms. So of course, we will continue to monitor things here, but right now it looks like we don't have to worry about any major tropical system heading our way, at least not right now. But of course, we're going to keep a close eye on things, and we are going to let you know exactly what is going on. So we will have that update for you every afternoon as we go through this last month of hurricane season. Make sure to keep it here, and we will keep you updated on what's happening out there in the tropics. That will do it for your tropical update for today. Once again, I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Remeisha. Have a happy Halloween and enjoy the rest of your day.